gonna be a very disappointing episode because we're talking about two disappointing MLS teams. But first, we're talking about Toronto FC. Accompanied, they're accompanied by drama, by scandals, by affairs. Even no, okay, there was no affairs. But a few days ago,
that would be mental.
I wouldn't be surprised. The Athletic, which to read the article I paid for, by the way, they released an article a few days ago entitled "Inside Toronto FC's Fractured Culture: Insigne and Bernardeschi Clashes, Bradley Distrust." So pretty much we're going to go over this as a whole. I mean, there's other sources in there that came out with things, but primarily this. So I mean, there's a lot. Essentially, I'll start off by saying that after the loss to Austin FC, there was a conference call held and led by the two Italian stars, pretty much just saying they want to buy Bradley out, which hurts me as an LAFC fan. I'm happy to see him gone, but I'm not happy to see him doing bad in the club. And a whole lot of other stuff. I don't know if you guys want to cover any of that.
I got you. I can pick it up. So basically, the other issues is not the two Italian stars, but there's been reports that teammates with Michael Bradley, because Michael Bradley is the captain, which is the son of Bob Bradley, feels like they can't talk to him about anything because anything they talk to him about somehow gets to the coaching staff because he probably talks to his dad. So it's a weird dynamic in that dressing room in terms of not being able to talk to your captain because you feel like it's going to go straight to the coach. And sometimes captain conversations don't need to go to the coach, but apparently this is what's happening and players feel uncomfortable talking about certain things or certain issues they have with training, maybe with play styles, certain issues, life decisions, maybe,
life decisions.
Well, yeah, you talk to your captain about stuff. I don't know.
You're really having a baby right now, bro? Come on.
Come on. And then the Italians also have an issue with the Michael Bradley, apparently, because I forgot which Italian said it, but he said that he was Bob Bradley's son, which is obviously a factual statement. Yeah, statement, but as in who cares? You're just his kid. And then he also called Mark Anthony Kaye, who is from LAFC. Sorry, okay. I just always say Kaye. I don't know why.
No, it's fair. It's fine.
Kaye. Okay. That he's also Bob Bradley's son, which is Mark Anthony was trying to break up a little argument that was occurring in the dressing room, a little conflict, and he was then called out by his teammate, and not very toxic environment. And a lot of fingers are being pointed at who's to blame. But we're here to talk about what we think is wrong with the club and to see who's exactly to blame in the situation.
I mean, to quote, Bernardeschi to Michael said, "Of course you're his son." He said to Bob Bradley, "Of course you're his papa." And then to MAK, "You're his other son." So, yeah. Very toxic. Do you got anything?
I can provide a different outlook because I went to a game.
Ooh, that's right.
I saw them play, and they were terrible. They were so bad. They were. I'm trying to keep it PG, but let's just say they were very, very ass. And like, you could go talk about tactics. I think that's like you guys are talking about Bernardeschi. I think at one point said we can't play with the way the football that we're playing. We can't win or something like that, which is basically calling out Bob Bradley's tactics. I think a quote here, like I was looking, I lost it because I was looking at a bunch of stuff, but he was kind of like saying, everybody looks at football differently. This is Bernardeschi saying that, but he says sometimes we need to change ideas, and of course you can criticize your coach, but when you do it in public like that, it's like it's just never a good place to build a good foundation, a good relationship when you publicly criticize your manager like that. And that's not to say I think the tactics are good because, like I said, I saw the game; they were ass. But at the same time, you kind of have to discuss that behind the scenes. I don't know if Bob Bradley is taking in advice, but honestly, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, no results are showing up, and it could be whether the top players are doing badly. Like I think Insigne hasn't been doing great. I know Bernardeschi hasn't been doing that great either, but it's not just them. It's the whole team that's just not coming together.
I think I have a quote to back up your thing too. This is from Bernardeschi. He says, "quote We don't have a construction in the game. When the player has the ball, we don't
There
know
you
how
go.
to pass the ball. Says this is the real problem because we don't train about that. We lose every game. We tie, we lose. We tie, we lose. Sometimes we win, but I can't believe this sincerely. This is not good for the young players. They need to get better and grow up with the idea of football. And the players with personality, they need help us understand and follow the idea of football. But we need the idea of football. This is a real situation. Essentially saying Bob Bradley doesn't know football." Um,
Yeah,
which is kind of hard. I mean, it's hard for me to agree with because, like, he had a lot of success with AFC. Obviously, Dolo having more, but Bob Bradley knows football. I mean, he's one of the best American coaches of all time.
third
Not to
most
say
MLS wins of all
exactly, third most
coaches.
MLS wins. I mean, he's coached in Europe, he's coached the men's national team, and had a fair bit of success in all of them. Um, to add to Bernardeschi, I mean, it's also hard to paint him as the good guy in here for me. I mean, I do agree with him. And he knows what real football is. I mean, he played at Juve. He came from Juve, so he knows football. He knows Serie A. He knows Italian, like international football with Italy. But he's also been using a vape pen. He's been using a vape pen in training and on the team plane after repeatedly being told no,
Damn.
and not to, because obviously you can't, especially on a plane. I mean, you can't smoke on planes, especially
Yeah.
with a vape pen. So he's not helping either. He's just adding to it. Um, I don't know. The only the one word I can use to describe all this is embarrassing. It's just
Yeah.
embarrassing. What's up with the U.S. soccer and like parents? We had the whole Gio Reyna situation 2-3 months ago, and now we have Bob and Michael Bradley situation. It's embarrassing. Um, I don't know.
I feel
What's the point?
I feel like there's so many big personalities in that locker room in the sense of you have Bob Bradley, who's also has a big personality in terms of coaching style
Right.
and like his coaching like presence, and then you got these guys who also have big personalities because they come from big clubs and they have a big history. And then
Yeah.
you just have all these conflicts going on. Realistically, they need Ted Lasso to settle everyone down. Get the
Lasso.
get the personalities down. Everyone work as a team, and they can build from there. But personally, it's just all these different personalities conflicting, and it's just not working out. And I mean, in the quote, you said that they need the big personalities to help out the team, but they are the big personalities, and they're not
Mm.
helping out the team at all. And they're underperforming, which is a sign. It can be assigned blame to them, but I think the blame goes to everybody because I feel like as a whole team,
Yeah.
they're playing shit. Yes, you can say the tactics aren't shit, but it's what's the word? It's tried and tested, true and tested, whatever.
Tried and tested.
Tried and tested because Bob Bradley wins. He's the third most winning manager in MLS history. He wins,
Right.
so it's tried and tested. Oh, that's just a weird thing. Tried and tested. There we go. Sorry, tried and tested formula that works, and it just needs they need to get behind the manager and get stuck in because I think the owner or chairman or CEO, I don't know, I don't really know who exactly said it, but I remember reading this. He backs Bradley, so he's staying, obviously.
Yeah.
And so they got to just get behind him, work on it, or just get rid of the players that are causing all the trouble. I don't know what
Yeah.
to
I mean,
exactly.
like I know Bernardeschi. So he after the whole vape pen stuff, he did get in like the comments. He got suspended for a match week by the team. He posted a graphic on a story, pretty much just going over like his like stats. I mean, since he came, I think he's like the best goal scorer, and it's like top of the board in a lot of these stats. And like that's not to take credit from him. The rest of the team hasn't been doing anything. Also, no one's heard of Insigne since he came. I just want to put that out there. Like
No.
I
in
forgot he was even
general,
there. Not gonna lie to
I
you.
know like this is one of the most disappointing sides in a long time. You two big star players you brought into the MLS, and you thought they're going to do good. Bernardeschi was still firing for the Italian national team. Insigne left, honestly, I think a little early from Napoli. He could have won the title if he stayed. Toronto also have the highest salaries in the league by over 2 million. Like that's like not barely, like that's by a lot. So just like to be almost last in the Eastern Conference and to have that is pretty disappointing. They also apparently didn't even get along before they came to Toronto. So as a club, why don't you look at that?
Yeah, they were told
I'm
that
sure.
they're like cool with each other, but like they're not friends. which is a bit weird because
which is fine.
They were teammates at one point, which is a little weird to
Yeah.
just not be friends with your teammates, especially on the national team. So I mean,
if you want them to come in like the best players and to have like the best influence in the dressing room, you don't want them to not like each other, you know? Because like, what's the point? And Insigne also apparently like there's a language barrier too. Insigne doesn't speak much English, and he keeps to himself a lot. He speaks to a lot of the Italian-speaking players and the Spanish-speaking players, but he keeps himself a lot otherwise. But you're coming to the MLS, like you gotta have a little bit of English, you know, to talk to the rest. At least French, with especially because you're playing in Canada. I don't know. There's a lot. It's disappointing. It's embarrassing. Go ahead, Andres.
They missed that Football Manager tip where it says when you try and sign players in Football Manager and it says there's a English barrier or a language barrier, they forgot to check for that. No. I mean, he could still learn English. Not a big deal. But like as a big player, you would like to be able to talk to all your teammates at least, or have other teammates learn Italian or Spanish so they can actually like communicate a little bit better. But that's a big issue that he stays quiet to himself because with star player
there's no chemistry.
Yeah, there's
no chemistry.
They're at 20 chemistry. They're at the base chemistry.
Yeah, base chemistry.
33. That's 33